What is visibility? Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? It's how far you can see. Well, if we dig a little deeper, we find there are different kinds of visibility that are used by pilots at different times, in different airspace, and is determined in different ways. The first and probably most important is flight visibility. To operate VFR in all classes of airspace except Alpha, pilots need to maintain a minimum flight visibility. To descend below the DH or MDA on an instrument approach, a minimum flight visibility is required. So how do we determine our flight visibility? For example, if you are in cruise flight at 1,000 feet AGL, you look out the right door and estimate you can see 5 miles. Then you look over the instrument panel in front of you and estimate 3 miles. But when you look to the left, the weather is deteriorating and you can only see 1 mile. What is your flight visibility? Some pilots will take the highest, 5 miles. Some will take the lowest, 1 mile, while some might even average the 3. What do you think the correct flight visibility is? 14 CFR Part 1 defines flight visibility as the average forward horizontal distance from the cockpit of an aircraft in flight at which prominent unlighted objects may be seen and identified by day, and prominent lighted objects may be seen and identified by night. The key word is forward. So in our example, the flight visibility is 3 miles. So to determine your flight visibility, look forward in the direction you are flying. This means that two pilots in the same general area, but traveling in two different directions, could have two completely different flight visibilities. Also note that the pilot has to be in an aircraft in flight. So what kind of visibility do we get on the ATIS or AWAS or in a METAR? These certainly don't come from an aircraft in flight. This is another visibility called ground visibility. If we again look at FAR Part 1, the definition of ground visibility is the prevailing horizontal visibility near the Earth's surface as reported by the United States Weather Service or an accredited observer. All control towers have accredited observers. But what does the word prevailing mean? Webster says it means superior in strength or influence or predominant. But that doesn't really help us here very much. So for this, we have to go to the Pilot Controller's Glossary at the end of the Aeronautical Information Manual. Under visibility, prevailing visibility is defined as the greatest horizontal visibility equaled or exceeded throughout at least half the horizon circle, which need not necessarily be continuous. So that weather observer up in the control tower will look 360 degrees, and whatever visibility exceeds 50% will be what you hear on the ATIS. There are only 3 instances where a VFR pilot needs a specific ground visibility: when landing, taking off, or entering the traffic pattern at an airport in Class B, C, D, or E airspace. It's important to understand the distinction between flight visibility and ground visibility. Since two different methods are being used by people in two different locations, it should not be surprising that two different visibilities, both correct, could be obtained. Pilots need to understand which visibility applies in different situations.